Hello, everybody. My name's James, and I am delighted to say welcome to Correspondent Week. Over the next 6 days, I'll be having all 20 of our Premier League correspondents on the podcast to talk through their clubs ahead of next Friday's Game Week 1 deadline. Correspondent Week house rules. They are not experts. They are fans. They are here to share their opinion. And up first, I say he is an expert, though, isn't he?
Oh, no.
He's fantasy football's OG and Nottingham Forest fan. Mr. Mark Sutherns. How are you, Mark?
I'm great, James. It's a privilege to kick off Correspondent Week's one of my favourite bits of content anyone produces. And
thank you, mate.
It's such a privilege to be back again because I didn't think I was going to be, given that Forest ran it close last year. So I feel very privileged to be in this position again.
There was a point where it looked like it was scraping the barrel a bit. You had a good sort of January, February. Then it came back around. It looked like you were going to go, really.
Oh, Brentford away when that goal went in. When the De Silva goal went in, having played well in that game, it looked like we were going to get something from it. I was a bit worried, I've got to say. I was very worried after that defeat. But we turned it around with results that on paper we didn't look like being able to get, but the performances, and I think the crowd took us through and, well, very much took us through, especially that win against Arsenal. So it was a massive relief to do it.
I was going to say, the title was won at the City Ground. You'd have settled for that pre-season, wouldn't you?
Well, I just didn't see it. I mean, as I said, after the Brentford game, I looked at the fixtures and thought, where are the points going to come from? And we got them from a couple of unlikely sources. And Awoniyi just came good, didn't he? He found the goals that, had he been fit and scored those goals earlier in the season, we perhaps wouldn't have been in trouble. But he found it when we needed it most. And like I said, I think the City Ground crowd against Brighton and against Arsenal and against Southampton, those games that we won, were the factor, along with Awoniyi's goals.
What's the feeling now? Optimism? Pessimism?
It was optimism before the summer started. I think that the pre-season so far hasn't gone to plan. I think if you asked anyone at the club and they were open and honest about how it's gone, I don't think this was the plan. Obviously, the Henderson situation's rolling on. We've only brought 2 players in, one of which is... 3 players with Wood, I guess. But the 2 players in, one was a free transfer, and Elanga, the other one, the only one really that we've had a circus about, which is in contrast to last summer, of course, which I expected.
Well, it was a whole circus last summer.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
I know. I expected it to be far, far less, but I think that we need to do more business, and Cooper has come out and said that, which is always interesting. When your manager says we need more new players, that's obviously a nudge to the backroom staff, isn't it, to get moving. And I think the supporters feel that as well. And I feel like we're short still, right? I think it's a very tough start because of the fixtures, and it's going to be a tough start anyway because we're going to need to bring in personnel between now and the window closing. So we're still a kind of in the process, I think, of building for this season.
Very difficult away game for most teams, though, right? Your home form was generally very good last year. Beat Brighton, beat Arsenal, beat Liverpool. Essentially, it was the difference at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, no question. I think a lot of the way supporters who are asked about the atmosphere of the City Ground say it's like one of the most intimidating and one of the noisiest. And we pride ourselves in the atmosphere we create at that ground. It's the singing and the noise is all round, all 4 sides. And you can tell some teams and some players are affected by it. And our players are obviously affected by it in a positive way. And there's a feeling like we'll find a way at home. I don't know, why that is. Away from home, it's dismal. We need to, that's one of the big learnings of last season. We've got to find a way of being more effective away from home. And the fixture computer hasn't done us any favours with the away games.
At least you've got easy away games to start, Mark.
I mean, absolute shocker.
What was your feeling when those fixtures dropped?
Yeah, my heart dropped. I mean, I look at it, my feeling is I hope Cooper's still there after game week 6, basically. I look at it and think Arsenal, United, Chelsea, City, 4 away in the first 6. If we don't win both those home games, we are probably going to be bottom of the table, right? So say we only get draws in those home games, we'll only have 2 points in the first 6 games. Cooper will be under pressure. And that's what I fear. I worry that, we've backed him again. If we're bottom of the league after 6 games, is the ownership going to sit still? I hope they do, because those fixtures really give Cooper a mountain to climb, particularly as the team isn't in place yet. I don't think, as I say, our first 11 will be in place until 3 or 4 weeks into the season, that's when we'll start to see a settled lineup, I think. I don't think the 11 we'll play at Arsenal will be the 11 that we end up playing from game week 6 and 7 onwards. I just hope Steve's still there. I hope he can withstand.
They backed him last season, didn't they, mate? There was 2 different occasions where it was like, writing's on the wall, he's finished. And then they came out and said, we're backing him, we're sticking by him. And at the end of the day, he achieved the end result, didn't he? But his expectation on end result a little bit different now. Or if you finish in that same position again, is that acceptable this season?
I think the owner was honest and said, look, there wasn't anyone better out there. And that is probably why Cooper survived, more than the fact that he was putting his faith in him. He was putting his faith in him because what's the alternative? Do you go for someone like Dean Smith, who, let's be fair, I don't want Dean Smith as my manager, right? So you go for, he was looking around for big names who probably wouldn't have turned it down. Leicester made the decision to go Dean Smith, and they went down, and we could have made that decision, but I think our owner felt that we needed a better calibre of replacement if he was going to let Steve go. I wonder what will happen, though, if we're bottom of the league and there is a better calibre of manager out there to possibly replace Steve Cooper in the owner's eyes. I hope not. I hope that we get points and we're not bottom of the league after 6 games and everything's fine. But when those fixtures come out, that was my first thought.
I mean, that first 4 away, just to clarify, Arsenal away, United away, Chelsea away, City away, and you get a little bit of relief, Palace away, which is not an easy place to go. Then you go to Anfield after that as well. Yeah. So, but the only thing to say on that is the flip is, of course, your home fixtures in the first half of the season are pretty good. So that's why it's going to be so important again.
There's going to be a lot of pressure on the Sheffield United and Burnley games. We'd expect to win those games, right? Because they're promoted teams and we should have more quality. And obviously at home, we're a match for any level of opponent, as we showed last season. But it will be a lot of pressure. If we draw against Sheffield United in that first game and we lose at United and Chelsea, we'll go into Burnley on 1 point after 4 games. We've got to win that Sheffield United game. So it's going to be very tense, that. I'm obviously saying we're not going to get a point at Arsenal. I really don't think I don't think we're going to stand up to what Arsenal going to throw at us in that opening game. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, I heard you say on Black Box on Saturday night that bit of a mess at the moment, got no chance in game week 1. That's essentially what you said.
Yeah, Felipe hasn't played pre-season. Niakhaté's got injured already. He missed a lot of last season. When him and Felipe played together with Warwick, it looked like we had a foundation of a defence that could stand up, as we did. We didn't keep many clean sheets, but we showed against Arsenal we could absorb that. And we were well organised. And those two in particular, and Warwick ended the season well. So those 3, should we say, had a really good end to the season. They were as important as Awoniyi his goals were. But Felipe hasn't played. Niakhaté's injured. So it's Warwick, McKenna and Bolly probably going to be the 3 that we take to Arsenal. And that really worries me. Left back. We haven't got a left back since Renan Lodi left. So I think Aina played his first game today, played 45 minutes at PSV. So he'll probably start at left back, or it'll be Nico Williams at left back. So, Aina has played there before, but he's up against Saka. It's going to be very tough. Baptism of fire.
With that in mind, would you say specifically in terms of an Arsenal asset to target against you, does that make Saka the best choice on the opening day then?
It would anyway, I think. But having said that, Aina is meant to be very good one-on-one. I think I heard today, I watched the game with the Forest commentary, and the commentator said Eden Hazard, when Aina was at Chelsea, was trying to push to get Aina in the team because he felt that he was their best one-on-one defender. So actually, it'd be interesting to see how he stands up to Saka's challenge. Most teams double team Saka, put 2 on him. I'm sure we'll do the same. He's going to be the threat. Maybe that will create space for Odegaard, Havertz and Martinelli. But I think most FPL managers are going to go in with Saka, and I think the way the Forest will be, our weakness will be left side, I would have thought, given that Aina's wouldn't have played 90 minutes probably by then, and all Nico Williams would be out of position.
Are you exclusively a back 3 team now? We did see back 4 dabbled with last year. Is this an exclusive now? And do the fixtures dictate that as well? That you're going to, I say back 3, it would almost be back 5, won't it?
Yeah, 3-4-2-1 is how it looks when you put it down on paper, but away from home it becomes a back 5. I think I think that's the way it's going to go in the first games. I mean, whether we play that at home, I mean, Sheffield United at home, if we want to win that game, I don't see where Johnson or Ngala get in the team. That Elanga rather get in the team. If we play 3-4-2-1, away from home we'll play that, and I don't think Johnson or Elanga will start. But at home there'll be pressure on us playing with Johnson and Elanga maybe, in which case I don't think we can play the back three. I think it's got to go back to a back four to get them in the team. So it'd be really interesting how we change it. But away from home we'll play the 3-4-2-1, which will effectively be back five.
Yeah, I think the way the fixture landed as well, we should separate you as an away team and a home team potentially in the first half of this season.
Yeah.
You were 20th for possession last year. Does that bother you?
No, not really. I think we had like 15-16% possession against Arsenal. I think I think the City Ground crowd are educated in the way Cooper wants to play. We know that's the team we are. Even at home, we will concede the ball and try and catch teams on the break. And the signing of Elanga is an indication that isn't going to change. He's that type of player who's going to be a threat on the break. We don't get, us not having the ball doesn't affect the home crowd. Right? We know that's the way we play, and we're tolerant of that, and we support it. Right? So I'm perfectly accepting the fact that even in games where we're expected to win, even against Sheffield United, certainly against Burnley, who are much more enterprising than the Burnley we saw under Dyche, we will probably have 30-40% possession. That'll be the plan, and that is what the home crowd will expect.
Talk to me about this goalkeeper situation. So at the moment, you've got Wayne Hennessy on the books, Ethan Hovarth, who was on loan at Luton last year. We know you want to buy a goalkeeper. If you didn't buy one in the next 2 weeks between now and going to the Emirates, who starts in goal? Is it Hovarth or has Hennessy got a chance?
No, Hovarth will start for sure. If we don't sign one, I think Henderson's a done deal. I think this, what we're seeing today about Matt Turner and that being in the final stages of negotiation, I think is a way of us chivying along the Henderson deal. I think it's inevitable that Henderson arrives. For me, I would be very, very shocked if Henderson's not in the squad. Whether he's fit enough to play, that's the other thing. I don't think he's fit. I think that's, maybe we're going after Turner because we need two keepers anyway. Because I don't know how Hovarth is regarded at Forest. He went out on loan last season. Luton decided not to move on him, which is a surprise. I think he did well there. I think he kept them a lot of clean sheets, but obviously they feel that he's not of the Premier League standards. Maybe we do as well, and we're after two keepers. I wouldn't be surprised. When Hennessy was in goal for us, when we were without Henderson and before Navas arrived, we looked very vulnerable. Hennessy's clearly not any longer of the quality you need in the Premier League, playing for a team like us who absorbs pressure. So I think we need a keeper that the defence is confident in, and probably two keepers that the defence is confident in.
We should clarify at this point, like most of the podcasts this week, we are pre-recording on Sunday night, just in case this moves along. The Turner links from Arsenal's come about because of Arsenal's potential interest in David Raya. So 2+2, it does add up, particularly if there is a Henderson issue. But I know the suggestion was that you weren't looking for two goalkeepers. You're just looking for a number one. If Turner moves in the next couple of weeks to you, he's in, isn't he?
Yeah. It'd be something's gone massively wrong with the Henderson deal if that's the case. I definitely think that Henderson's our first choice, and the players expecting it to happen as well, from what I can gather. So I think it's a bit of a smokescreen, the Turner situation. As I say, I'll be surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised if we signed a second keeper, even if we got Henderson. Whether we'd spend 10 million on Turner, we've got to be careful of FFP, of course, which is why there's a lot of noise about Johnson moving on. So I think we've got to be very careful what we're spending when. And maybe that's a problem with the Henderson deal as well. I think we're trying to get a loan deal with a buy. What's it called? When you've got to buy? No, when you make it, it's obligatory.
An obligation.
An obligation to buy. That's it. So I think that's the way the deal with Henderson will go, and I think that's got something to do with us not wanting that. We've got to manage our budget carefully and when we outlay, and obviously that's going to depend on who else we're looking at. what other players are going to come in the next month. And I think, as I said at the top, we need more players. So there's a plan for more players to come in.
Is that a concern then that Johnson could go? Does Brentford keep sniffing about, don't they?
I think he's going to go.
Really?
Yeah, that's my feeling. I think that I don't think he's in the 11. This is the problem.
It feels like he's not in the 11 for the toughest games.
Well, he's not. He's not. And then if he's in for the home games, I mean, I look at the team and think, okay, for the home games, unless we play a back four, then one of Mangala, Yates, or Danilo has to drop out to make way for either Johnson or Elanga. So to get both Johnson and Elanga in the team, it looks like a big ask, right? I just don't think it happens. When Elanga came in, I thought that was a move to kind of protect us from the fact that Johnson may well depart. If he doesn't go this season, the way the financial fair play is looking, we will have to sell either him or Gibbs-White next year. So I think it's like, what do we do? Do we get the money now? Can we get enough now? I think if we hold him for another season and he does what I expect him to do, which will be to score another 10 goals, if not more, he could be worth 10 million more next summer, right? He could be worth 50 million maybe, or even more. Depends how the market goes. So I think that it depends what we get. If we get a 40 to 45 million offer, I think he'll go.
So that solves the Gibbs-White versus Johnson debate then. If someone does want to take a punt there, the answer's got to be Gibbs-White on that then, isn't it?
It's Gibbs-White anyway, I think, because he plays every game. He's central. He's on set plays. He's on penalties. Johnson's more of a goal threat when he plays, no doubt. He's a very good finisher when you give him opportunities. He's going to get opportunities at the City ground. He's not going to get many opportunities away from home the way we play, unless we improve as an away team, which I hope we do. Yeah, if you're going to sign a Forest attacker, it is Gibbs-White. Although Awoniyi would be interesting. He's got an injury pre-season, it seems, because Wood started at PSV today. So we'll have to get a status on Awoniyi's injury. But I think if Awoniyi is first choice, I did an analysis of goal involvement for Black Box, which I didn't show this week. I'm showing it next show. So this is a bit of a preview. But he has a 46% goal involvement for Forest, I think it is. It might even be 56. I'll look it up. But that's more than any other player in the Premier League with more than 10 starts. So in other words, when he's on the pitch, he contributes to more goals than any other player for their team.
Clear potential talisman, essentially.
Yeah, he is. Now, the question is he a regular starter? It might be that if Johnson stays and we want to get Elanga in the team, that Gibbs-White plays down the middle and then we play Elanga and Johnson two speeds to either side of him. Yeah, we saw Gibbs-White play centrally before, so that could be a thing. Right? I don't think it's likely from the start of the season, but it could be a thing. It's 58% of goals Awoniyi contributed to, either assisted or scored when on the pitch for Forest, which is higher than any other player. Kane was on 56 for Spurs. So that's how important Awoniyi became to us by the end of the season. So he could be a player at 6'5" in FPL that ends up being considered. I don't think you want to at the moment because he's injured. Plus, there is that concern that if Johnson stays, Cooper may look to find a way of getting Elanga and Johnson in the side, which will probably be Awoniyi making way. So the home games might see Gibbs-White central and those two either side.
We know if Awoniyi will make game week 1. By the way you're talking there, it sounds like you're pretty concerned he won't be.
I don't know what the injury is. It looked like an ankle or shin injury that he picked up. So we'll have to see. He wasn't even on the bench at PSV, so we'll have to see what Cooper says post-match. He obviously had the injury last season and we missed him a lot. So I hope he'd be fit for Arsenal. I mean, like if he's not on the pitch at Arsenal, our threat will be non-existent, I would say, on the break, unless Johnson is fit as well, because Johnson hasn't played pre-season either. So we're not expecting Johnson to be available if he stays. So if Awoniyi's out, we'll be relying, probably will end up playing Wood and Gibbs-White. And while Gibbs-White is talented, Wood's not the kind of player you want to take to the Emirates when you're playing on the break, is he? So.
I saw Chris Wood wore number 11 at PSV in the friendly, and I think that's possibly going to be his squad number now. It was one Forest fan having a real whinge about it killing his OCD, seeing Chris Wood wear the number 11 shirt. But if let's just say Awoniyi was out for a while, Does he come into contention at 5.0?
No.
Not at all. Not even at that price.
No, because I think he may well play Elanga and Gibbs-White at the Emirates and play the two with pace, or Johnson if he's
But you'd
fit.
probably bench him. It's cheap enough that you could, right?
Yeah, but I just don't know. I think he's more going to be an impact sub for us next season. I think, you know, we've spent the money. He's an outlay, and I think he's a plan B. Even if Awoniyi was out, I think he'd still be a plan B for us.
Okay. So I feel like we've narrowed down to, are we punting Elanga, maybe? Or is it way too punty to do it? But he could be good at that price, right?
I think at 5 million, yeah. I think when our fixtures turn, that'll be enough for us to get data on what the Forest 11 looks like and whether Elanga's in it or not. I don't think he will be, but if he is at 5 million when our fixtures turn from game week 7 onwards, he could be an option. Yeah, I mean, I would still endorse going Gibbs-White. And if Henderson arrives, I mean, like, in terms of points per 90, he was the top keeper with more than 3 starts last season. He had 18 starts, kept 6 clean sheets, saved 2 penalties, got 12 bonus. And he was 4.56 per 90 points per 90, which was higher than Alisson. So in terms of pure data, it says that a Forest keeper could be a good option. If
how many penalties did he save though? And I know he's good at doing it.
He saved 2 penalties in that 18 starts, yeah. But I think in his career he's got like a 30-40% save.
Yeah, he was good at Sheffield United, yeah.
So, you know, if Henderson is our keeper, I think he becomes an option, particularly if you look at the rotation with Brighton. It's really good. I think we're home and away with Brighton until about game week 18. So if Henderson arrives and he's fit for game week 1, Henderson still could be something you look at as an option. But Gibbs-White is by far the best option otherwise.
Okay. What's competition on that left wing position then? Is Emmanuel Dennis any consideration, or is he likely to be one that goes?
He'll go. I think Danilo will play as part of the midfield three, and you know, in a 3-4-2-1, he'll be alongside Gibbs-White behind the striker. That'll be the spot that Elanga or Johnson will try and get. So it's whether or not, you know, and we're looking at Sangera from PSV to maybe come in for Mangala, aren't we, at the moment? So he played against us tonight, and we're meant to be out there talking to him post match. And who knows, he may well be coming back with us. So I think it. You know, when you look at it, Cooper's probably got Yates and another in the sitting role, Danilo, Gibbs-White, and Awoniyi as he's 3 ahead of those 2, and playing a back 5. If we play a back 5, so obviously if we revert to a back 4 at home, it does change, and then it's possible we could get Johnson and Elanga in the team, but in a 4-3-3, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about it as well, particularly that opening day at Arsenal. Danilo as well, the beauty with him is he can tuck in and make it a 3, can't he? So you could go like 5-3-1-1, or Gibbs-White can join Awoniyi as part of a 2 as a first line, and it becomes almost like a 5-3-2. And in that, Elanga doesn't fit in that, does he?
No, it'd be a 5-3-1-1 at the Emirates, and I think it'd be Gibbs-White and Wood, or Gibbs-White and Elanga, depending on how we want to play. He could play Gibbs-White as the one up front with Elanga off him, I guess, if he doesn't want to play Wood. But he started Wood today, so you've got to think that he'll be given that opportunity if Awoniyi doesn't make it for the Emirates. But yeah, 5-3-1-1 is how I see it at the Emirates. So it'd be backs to the wall, and it'll be, can we do what we did at the City Ground? Can we keep them out and frustrate them and try and nick something?
Danilo a definite starter in your eye?
Yeah.
He chipped in with a few towards the end of the season, didn't he? Quite like what I saw of him.
Yeah, I think that's he will be under threat from Elanga and Johnson if Johnson stays. But I think that he'll start the season. It'll be his shirt to lose, and he's got a lot to his game. He's still developing, and he showed he can finish. He can show he can get forward and beyond the striker, and he showed he can tuck in as well. And I think his work rate's there for all to see. He's got a good pass on him, got good vision. Yeah, I like him as a player. I think that Cooper does as well. So I think at the moment that's why Elanga or Johnson can't get in the side, because I think Danilo, Yates and Mangala have to play. So Danilo's keeping one of those 2 out.
Okay. Gustavo Scarpa there was a lot of high hopes when you got him in January. He seems to have disappeared off the face. You look at it and think 4.5 is a number 10 essentially. He's not getting a look in, is he?
Well, he didn't even get on the pitch today, I don't think.
Yeah, I know.
Which is very odd because he came off the bench in the previous friendly. So I don't know what happened today. I don't know what's going on there, whether there is a move happening. Probably that will be the case. We're talking about Johnson and Elanga not getting in the side, but then where's the room for Scarpa? Only if Gibbs-White runs into an injury, does Scarpa get a look in, I would say, because you can't have those two on the pitch. We haven't got that luxury. I think one of the reasons why we're looking at Sangera, he's the kind of player who can allow you to afford the luxury of playing another attacking player. I think at the moment we have to have Mangala, Yates and Danilo in the team. We have to have those legs because we haven't got a dominant central midfield player who's strong enough. I think Sangera is that player, and that could mean that we could afford the luxury of getting a Johnson or Elanga in the side, but I don't think we afford Scarpa in the side as well. Johnson.
We had a look at Ibrahim Sangara a couple of weeks ago, and he looks a bit of he's one of them. You go on YouTube. We actually said, me and Pete, FPL team, say he looks a bit like a Patrick Vieira regen. You think, oh my God, like how are Forest going for him? Why is no one else going for him? So he looks like a proper talent, but he would only cost the money that you'd get for Johnson by the sounds of it. And it almost feels like if you do push this through, it would make me think that Brennan Johnson probably does go in that game.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's what I think. I think Cooper sat down and gone, we absolutely need that player sitting in central midfield to reinforce us, for me to be able to play a style where I can throw another attacking player on. So in many ways, in terms of contributing to our 11, a player like Sangera does more for us than Johnson does, particularly now we've signed Elanga. That's my feeling. And, if we can't afford the outlay, 32 million, I think the clause, or 34 million. If we can't afford that and keep Johnson, I don't think we're short of the money. I think it's the FFP stuff. Like that will tip us over. Maybe we can afford to do both, but we'll have to see. But there's no question we're going for Sangera. The noise on that, and it's so obviously the gap in our team. If you ask any Forest fan, that central midfielder to dominate and just reinforce and protect the back four is what we need. Freuler wasn't it. Mangala's done a good job, but he's not it either. Sangera looks to be exactly the type of player we need.
What would be the two then, as it stands? So Yates would be one, I take it.
Yates and Sangera, and then it'll be, can we afford not to play Danilo? Can we afford to get Johnson or Elanga on the pitch with Gibbs-White and Awoniyi? That's if we're playing the five. That's if we're playing the three at the back wire.
As it stands now, if it's a two, though, in front of that 5 game week 1, Sangara has not been bought.
It's Mangala.
Yates and Mangala, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I quite liked him when you came to our place in March. I thought he was probably your best player in the first half, and he got taken off at half time. So shows what I know. I read a piece with Yates, actually. We was talking about playing a little bit more advanced. I know Luke FPL Irons was quite high on him as a potential FPL prospect when you came up, and he had some injury issues to start of last season, which set him back. But it did sound like there was something being worked on potentially for him to play further forward. Can you see that?
Yeah, he's the one that's getting forward out of the, he's taken it in terms of Danilo to support the striker. I think only been doing that pre-season, though, because we haven't had Gibbs-White. Right. So we haven't had that link man. So we've been playing in a way where we've had to get midfielders playing off the striker, whether that be Wang or whether it be Awoniyi. So I don't see him playing that role when the season starts proper, because Gibbs-White will be back and he'll need to sit in there with Mangala or Sangera if we get him. So Yates is a shoe-in for the team, and he'll always be a threat at set plays, and he'll get forward when he can, but I don't think that'll be his remit.
Okay. Left back, as you said, you think Aina. I think we should say left back rather than left wing back because of those opening fixtures. You think Aina. We obviously can play on the right side as well, so that's nice that you could potentially cover off. I presume Serge Aurier will start on the right-hand side?
Serge will be the right back, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you've got Aina on the left side. It feels like you've really lost there because obviously Lodi has moved on now. Harry Toffolo didn't hit the ground running, and he's now got a charge potentially hanging over him and is looking at a long-term suspension similar to what happened with Ivan Toney. You've got Omar Richards, who you bought last year, who you haven't seen in a Forest shirt, have you?
No, never played.
No, but he can play that side. And you've been covering there with a young lad, Josh Powell.
Yeah.
In a lot in pre-season, only 18 years old, but he wasn't involved at PSV. So I
Yeah, he
presume
came on second half.
he did come on.
Yeah.
Any chance of him being involved? Game week 1? I guess that would be a slap to the
No,
likes of Aina having just joined, wouldn't it?
Aina will start. We will buy a left back. We will buy a left back for sure. So that's another, as I said, that's another player we need to get. So we're looking at, there's a couple in France that we're looking at the moment. Names escape me, but one at Marseille and one at Rennes, I think. So I expect us to buy a left back before the window closes. Don't think we'll be in time for game week 1. I think Aina will be there to start. But I think he's been bought for cover. I mean, Nico can cover both sides. Well, he plays there for Wales and he left back.
Yep.
So I think we're all right. If we had an easier start, I wouldn't be worried. But obviously, when you've got the opening games that we've got, that's going to be a weakness that the top class sides will go after, and they'll have players who can exploit it. And
you're not short of numbers.
No.
You can't be anyway with the amount of players you bought last year, right? But it does feel like there's a lot there. It's like, Wood will play if he has to, or Williams can cover that side if he has to. We're a bit short. We've got a lot of numbers in midfield, but those who've played beyond Yates and others don't feel like they're quite of the equality. That's what it feels like. And stripping it, when you strip so much last year from the promotion team, feels like it'd be quite difficult, I think.
Yeah, and as I say, I think that we'll need time again, not as much time. I think I sat here last year and said first 2 or 3 months would be really tough, and that's how it turned out.
Yeah.
In fact, it turned out to be tough for longer than that. We had that spell before Christmas that got us out of the bottom 3. We had that win over Liverpool, then we kicked on a bit from there. And then the break didn't do us any favours, really. And we struggled after the break, and then we recovered at the end. I think this season, the way I look at it, our fixtures improve from game week 7 onwards. And I think by then we should have our first 11 put together. Right? And I think it will be a new left back. I hope we get Henderson. I think we will sign a midfielder. If it's not Sangera, then it'll be probably looking at Ndidi or someone like that. I think we need a number 6, so he's going to get one. So then we'll have an 11, which will be reinforced by that. I think it will stop there. I don't think we need any more than that. So we've got numbers, we've got depth. We haven't got the quality in the positions that we need. Like losing Loddy is a big blow. He was a really strong left back for me, really consistent. So we need someone there, and we've always lacked a commanding central midfielder, and I think that's what we need. It's whether Johnson's still there or not. If he's still there for another year, then I think you can expect him to get another 10 goals and we'll be fine. Elanga, has he got 10 goals in? Don't see it. So
Johnson did chip in with important moments, right?
Yeah. You'd expect him to kick on. I don't think he's an Ivan Toney replacement, which is why it's strange that Brentford are going to potentially shell out 40 million for him, because they haven't got a centre forward. So and he's not that.
Would you say would you be interested if he did go to Brentford? Would you be very interested in having him?
If he goes to West Ham, Villa, Brentford, he starts. I think you don't spend 40 million on a player, which is what they would have to spend to get him. Spurs might sign him. Maybe he goes to your lot and he would be on the bench probably. He's a player you can, if you've got the money, you can afford to invest in him, because he's only going to get better and more valuable. He's got another 3 or 4 seasons before he's the finished article, and he's good enough now to be a Premier League player. So where's he going from here? I'd love to keep him, but I think sitting here now, as he said, he is a bit of a, if we've got to balance the books with the FFP, there are more investment areas we need, and it's left back and central midfield, I think, which Cooper will, hand on heart, say they're the positions he needs to strengthen.
So as it stands now for FPL, my best guess is the most likely Nottingham Forest player for you to start with would be Brennan Johnson if he's playing for someone else. Yeah.
Well, at 6 million, if he's playing for a West Ham, a Villa or a Brentford, he starts for them, I would say. Because you're not outlaying that money to get him and not starting him. Then he's a very good prospect, because in our side, he probably would get 10 goals. In a Villa or a West Ham, or even a Brentford, maybe he gets 10 goals, surely. So I just don't know what Brentford are going to do with him, because they seem to have a lot of players of that ilk, wide attackers who are able to contribute goals, and he's another one of those.
There'll be a reason they don't buy someone not for the sake of it. They'll have studied properly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. You've got a couple of decent swings. You'd mentioned that game week 7, which after City, depends how you look at it, but if you remove the Liverpool away fixture in 10, you've got a decent run there: Brentford, Palace, Luton, Villa, West Ham, Brighton, and then it gets really good again. I think from game week 14, starting with Everton at home. There's Fulham, Wolves, Tottenham, Bournemouth. Over the Christmas period. So that kind of long stretch from 7 to 18, if something at a reasonable price has really developed, there's a chance to go back, isn't there?
Definitely, yeah. I think if Awoniyi's scored a couple of goals and he's fit, that's the time you would look at him. Gibbs-White, I think you could have at any time. Maybe not these first 5 or 6 game weeks because of the fixtures and away games, but you could get Gibbs-White in from 7 and he'll do a job for you at 6 million because of his, he's just going to be central to a lot of what we do. Awoniyi then as well, if he's scoring goals. Henderson, if we've got him in goal, will be a great option for a keeper, I think. Because you look at the Brentford, Luton, Villa, Everton, Brighton, 5 home games there where I think there's 3 clean sheets there because we'll find a way of keeping the teams out. And if even without the clean sheets, Henderson, as we've seen, will get bonus points and saves, and he's always there with the pen saves as well. So if he does arrive, I think he's a great option then as well. So Forest come alive, as a FPL option from that time, and that should be the time we've sorted the team out.
Yeah, let's finish with some quick fires. If everyone's fit, what's your best centre-back back three?
Back three, Niakhaté, Felipe and Worrell, definitely.
What do you think will be the back three at Arsenal?
I think it'll be Bolly, McKenna and Worrell because I don't think Niakhaté and Felipe will be fit. And that's
so we're looking problem. At what, 3rd, 4th, 5th choice centre-backs, basically? Yeah, I mean,
it's interesting because when Bolly, McKenna and started at Fulham and they both got injured, they were first choice. And then they went off and we were like, oh, God, we've lost both our centre-backs. And then they never got back in because Niakhaté got fit. Felipe came in and was excellent. And then Worrell came back in the side when we moved back to back three. Felipe's a big loss. I mean, he's a tremendous player. Without, Gibbs-White was very good in his first season, but other than that, he would be our player of the year, Felipe. He was just, he was such an extraordinary player for us. He was such a kind of magnet for the ball. He's obviously very experienced, and that was his game management really came into its own over that end spell.
He also had the 4th best celebration last season for a goal disallowed.
Yeah, with the somersault.
1st, 2nd, and 3rd obviously went to Richarlison. I take it Julian Bianconi will get no look in.
No, I think he'll be loaned out. I imagine. I don't know. We haven't seen what he's capable of, but I don't think there's a place for him. He can play one of the centre back roles, but he's a full back. He's a right back, I think, when we signed him. So I think with Aurier, Nico Williams and Aina there, I think Bianconi's probably on his way, yeah.
Which brings me to another 4.0, Mohamed Drager, who has been used in pre-season. He was out on loan for the last couple of years. He's got 38 caps for Tunisia, playing a hybrid between right back and right midfield. Is there anything there as a prospect?
No, he'll go as well, I think. I think this is why Elanga was a shrewd signing, because we're struggling to get 25, to pick the 25, because we've got so many players to actually, so Drager will be left out of the 25, and then at that point you've got to find another club, right? And I know this happened to O'Brien, didn't it, when he ended up joining Rooney's club.
Is he back with you, O'Brien?
Yeah, he's back. Yeah. So Lewis O'Brien will struggle, I think, to make the 25, which is a real shame because I like him as a player. And had we gone down, he would have been central to our promotion season because he's an absolute top quality Championship player. Does he have what it takes in the Premier League? I'd love to give him a crack, but I don't think, because we need to bring in a player in that area, I don't think he makes the 25. We'll have to see.
Can you tell us anything about Hwang Yu-jo? And tell me if I pronounced that correctly, firstly.
Yeah, that's about right, I think. We haven't seen a lot of him, which is why the pronunciation is kind of lost on me. I mean, he was on loan last season, and I think he's another one will struggle to make the 25, I would have thought. Wood's got to be the backup to Awoniyi, although I do think a change of system will probably be the backup to Awoniyi, as in Gibbs-White playing central. Elanga could play an attacker role rather than be on the flank, I guess. Some classify him as a striker still, don't they? But I see him as a wide player. But I don't see him having a look in really.
He wouldn't be the 4.5 forward of choice, though.
No, You are barrel scraping now, I think.
So what we're saying, I think in conclusion is leave this be, keep an eye on what's happening with the goalkeeper position, but those fixtures are pretty rough at the start. Assess it and come back and have a look at Forest when it looks better from 7 onwards, or as I said, there's another kind of entry point, game week 14.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, Gibbs-White from the start for the home games, maybe if you want to go a player cheaper than 6.5, because he'll start, and if we are going to beat Burnley and Sheffield United at home, he'll have a hand in that. But for me, you start looking from game week 7, and then it's see who the keeper is, see if Awoniyi's fitting in the side and scoring, and then Gibbs-White all season long.
Yeah, the only one I could have seen me really starting with was with something that developed in the goalkeeper position. If you did end up with Turner, I think I'd probably start with him because I think he's going to be
first in FPL.
He's 4.0, mate.
Is he?
Yeah.
Right. Well, that would be. Very
hello. He's here. Mark's here.
Yeah. I didn't realise he was 4.0.
They all are, aren't they?
I didn't think he was in the game yet. Right,
all the backup keepers at the kind of Champions League contenders plus more, they're all 4.0, aren't they? So if he moves,
that would be interesting if he did move. Yeah, he's in the game. I didn't realise they had added him yet. So I was
hoping he was going to say Hennessy's got a chance, because at the moment I know a lot of people on Areola, but I don't think there's a 4.0 starting keeper at the moment. So if Turner moves, people go there really quickly.
All the FPL managers will be hoping that is the case, right? Because if we get Turner and Areola as 2 form, it'll be a repeat of last season, right? Which will be
rubbish.
Yeah, with the Leicester duo, and it worked well for a while, didn't it? It was amazing for a while.
About 4 weeks.
Yeah, but Ward had that spell where he was outstanding, and then he reverted to, I guess, what we expected. But yeah, I said I'll be shocked if Henderson doesn't arrive, but maybe there is something in this Turner thing. Maybe it isn't a smokescreen, and if it isn't, and Forest do have a 4 million keeper from the start, then even with the fixtures we've got, he's going to be popular, right?
So the best Forest asset might be someone who's at another club, and the current best Forest asset becomes a good asset if he leaves.
That's about it. That's about it. Yeah.
What a brilliant start to Correspondent week. Where do you think you'll finish, mate? In the league,
think we'll be all right.
Not in FPL.
Yeah, I think we'll be all right. I think that I think we'll survive again. I look at the teams that have come up and think it is a little bit weaker than the teams that came up last time. I think Bournemouth and Fulham obviously did very well, and we just about scraped in. I look at Luton, Sheffield United and Burnley and think that they are perhaps a bit more limited. I don't think any of those three are as strong as Fulham were when they came up. So Burnley, I think, will have the best shout of staying up. Sheffield United and Luton will be most people's favourites to go down. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I think the home games for them will be as vital as they were for us. So they're always in for a shout, of course. I do think that the likes of Wolves and Everton could struggle again, though. So I think that we'll be all right around 15th, 16th is where we'll finish, and we'll take that. If there's progression, we'll go up to 15th. I'll certainly take that.
How many of the correspondents do you think predicted you to go down?
How many of the 20 will predict me to go down? 7.
It was 4.
Was it 4? Oh, that's good. I'm happy about that.
4 and 3 predicted you to finish 17th.
Right. Okay.
So not many. I think that's partly on the strength of those who's come up as well. Plus looking at problems at Everton, Wolves is going to be a big transition for Bournemouth that no one's too sure if that's going to be great all of a sudden or if they're going to struggle again. So yeah, I would pencil you in at sort of 16th at the moment. And I think, by the way, that's okay. If you finish there this year, mate, because we know, and actually we've forgotten about it a little bit because of what the likes of Brentford did last year, but second season syndrome is a thing generally, mate. It can get harder. Everyone knows who you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and it will take us a couple of months to get the team settled. And there'll be that question mark over Cooper if we're in the bottom 3 after those 6 games. And I think we will be. And so that won't do us any good either if there's murmurings again. So I really hope we avoid all that. I really hope we come through that fixture spell with a settled team, with Cooper backed again, and then we'll kick on. And then, over that run of fixtures up to Christmas. The thing is as well, the African Cup of Nations will hurt us because we'll lose a lot of players to that, right? So we've got to have a good Christmas because we'll go into January with 3 or 4 key players missing. So that's got to be in our minds as well, in that we probably have to reinforce a bit with that in mind. So we'll see what happens before the window. It's going to be interesting, and whether Johnson is still at the club.
Good luck, mate. What do you want to plug before you go? You got this thing you do with our friend
FPL
Az,
Black Box, of course. Yeah, certainly if you're into FPL, which I hope you are watching this, come and join us in the week. So it's normally Wednesday or Thursday. Az and I do a couple of hours, laid back chat, loads of data, and yeah, we enjoy that. I enjoy doing that with Az, of course, and I'm on Twitter at FFS Scout _Mark. If you want to look me up on Twitter as well. I've tried to keep off Twitter in the pre-season though, because I find it murderous. There's so many drafts out there. I'm trying to avoid it all, so I'll be more active when the season kicks off.
Good stuff, mate. Yeah, get on Black Box. Great chat. You guys love the show on Saturday. Absolutely brilliant. Your analysis of Salah was very, very interesting. Very much recommend a look at that.
I'm trying to talk myself into it.
Good discussion on Trent as well. Talking of which, segue. Next up in Correspondent Week is our Liverpool correspondent, Dan Lord, to discuss the Reds. Just want to say thanks to Mark. Mark's, I think it's Burnley game week 5. I think I've penciled you in for your first clash of correspondence during the international break.
Looking forward to that. That'd be great.
Look forward to speaking to you then, and hope you're not on Neil Poir, mate.
Could be, but we'll see.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thanks, James.
Be nice to each other, everyone. Cue music, please. Man child.